If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome in. Good morning. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I am Jeff Parles. We got a good show lined up for you. Of course, the whole baseball card here on a Tuesday. We only have 6 days to go before the All-Star game in Atlanta. By the way, Summer League in Vegas begins on Thursday. We'll talk about it on Thursday. I'm just throwing that out there, guys. There's not much other than the Cooper Flag Bronny James showdown to open up Summer League. Yeah, no, everyone's amped for that to kick things off. We got some football talk. We got some baseball talk coming up right now. We're going to go right into it. Joining us at the beginning of the show here today, he hosts the Jake Asman Show on YouTube. Also, you hear him on ESPN Radio in New York and Mad Dog Radio as well. Join this great gentleman through the last few years on his show once a week during football season. It's my good friend Jake Asman with us right now. Jake, it's good to see you, buddy.
Jeff, it is weird to be on the other end of an introduction. Normally it's me introducing you, so it's an honor to be on your show in your fancy schmancy studio out in Las Vegas, and I'm honored to be on and bat lead off with you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It is. Look, Ann and company did a hell of a job in our new digs here. It's kind of crazy. We've been down here now 3 months. Doesn't feel like we've been down here that long. So, Jake, of course, the Jake Asman Show. You're streaming multiple times a day during the week. It's a Jets-based show, so we're gonna just start there, my friend. Where you and I had this conversation a few weeks ago, and I bring it to a different audience here. And it's the Jet win total is only 5.5. Jake, it is a super low win total. There is 6 here at the South Point now with the juice on the under. Jake, it's really a whole new era. Really the biggest fresh start that this organization has had, realistically speaking, since 2009. Let's be real with ourselves. With Rex and Sanchez at the same time. It's Aaron Glenn's team now. It's Justin Fields' team, at least for 1 year. What are your overall expectations for a team that has not made the playoffs now since you and I were both in high school?
I do think the expectations are as low as they have ever been, because even when the Jets have been bad, Jeff, you could speak to this. We as Jet fans always try to convince ourselves, like, hey, a couple things go our way, we could get right back in it, we can compete for a playoff spot. And I get the sense from just talking to fans, either on the YouTube show you brought up or just being local here in the New York area doing talk shows, there is probably the least amount of anticipation and an excitement for a Jet season in a very long time. It's the total opposite of the last couple of years where you had, of course, Aaron Rodgers and then his return from injuries last year and the excitement that the Jets still had. So the expectations are certainly low. That might not be a bad thing, though. Like a quiet offseason, first-year coach, that might not be the worst thing in the world for the Jets after the last couple seasons to fly under the radar. You look at the schedule, it's not a daunting schedule, right? So while the win total is only at around 5.5, 6 wins, this team last year was probably the worst coached team in the league, and they won 5. And that included some losses where their kicker just flat out cost them games. Like if they just had league average kicking last year, the Jets are probably a lot closer to a 7-10 team than a 5-12 team. So I do see the path for them to be better than 5.5 wins. I don't believe they're a playoff team. I just have too many questions about a first-year coach, first-year play caller. I've never been the biggest Justin Fields guy. I know he's talented, but I just think in the AFC, you need more of a sure thing at quarterback if you're going to be a playoff team. But maybe there is value, as we talked about previously, on the win total going over, just because there is talent on this Jets team. Like a lot of the names that are no longer on the team, they weren't that good last year. Like people look at, no Javon Kinlaw, no Hassan Reddick as like key departures. Those guys were terrible, as you know. So I just feel like you look at the team, I like their draft. I like what Aaron Glenn is preaching. We'll see if it works, but I don't think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I just don't necessarily think this is a playoff team either.
Yeah, and look, we'll look at some other AFC East teams in a second here, Jake, but at least from my perspective, the coaching, like you said, can't possibly get worse. And if it does, oh boy, that's not good for Aaron Glenn and company if it goes backwards. And really for the Jet win total, and we'll progress as we go through this division here, it all depends on surviving those first 8 weeks. Let's be real. I mean, get to the bye week at 3-5. You should feel like you're great, especially if you got a 5.5. You're in great shape. Just look at the back end of that schedule where I think Miami's way down. Cleveland's projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. New Orleans, I think, will be the worst team in the league. Jacksonville is no home field. Like there are a lot of winnable games after the bye week. I will say though, Garrett Wilson sitting there at 1,000 yards receiving at plus 125 to go over it again. I look, he's gone over 1,000 yards with, again, Zach Wilson at the beginning. And even though Rodgers, the numbers didn't look ugly, it was not Aaron Rodgers. It was a totally different version than what we've seen in his career. I think that's a great bet on Garrett Wilson, who has familiarity with Justin Fields. And hey, look, the only question would be, do the Jets make some big splash for another receiver before the season starts? I know there have been rumblings with McLaurin possibly going on a move. I don't see the Jets being that team. I don't see McLaurin getting traded, period. But Wilson over 1,000 yards receiving, Jacob, plus 125 feels really good.
It's a great bet. I did not even realize that was, a legit bet you can make with those odds. I might be making that wager right when I get done talking with you, Jeff, because, you said it. Like, Garrett Wilson's proven to be quarterback-proof so far. He's had 3 years in the league. He's gone over 1,000 each year. He's had 8 different quarterbacks throwing to him, and, most have been pretty dreadful, for being real. Like, everyone knows Zach Wilson, but we're talking about Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian, the corpse of Joe Flacco, and you said it. Well, Rodgers certainly was not the biggest reason why this team was awful last year. He wasn't, vintage Aaron Rodgers, so I think Garrett is a safe bet. You just, you can never project injuries. He's been durable in his career. So I like that bet a lot. If you're looking for a Jet bet, that might be my favorite. And I didn't even know it existed until about, 1 minute ago.
There you go. I helped you out. Go to DraftKings, your neck of the woods, Jake. That's where you can get that. All right. I want to go to the team that's ruled the division over the last few years. And that's the Buffalo Bills. Where Jake, it's weird. Buffalo, like there was a lot of noise last year going into the year, at least from my perspective. Like you lose Diggs, you don't really improve. Is this the year where Buffalo takes the big step back? It was not. They were one step away from the Super Bowl again. It just couldn't beat Kansas City for the fourth consecutive time in the postseason. Now they had a quietly, I thought, really good offseason. They improved their wide receiving core. Their offensive line seems a lot more stable than it's been going into years in the past years. Their defense seems better, at least to me, going into the year. You see an awfully high win total, one of the highest win totals in the NFL, 11.5 juiced over at -140. They're -260 to win the AFC East. Jake, I know it pains both of us that what I'm about to say. It kind of feels like this might be the year where Buffalo, if you're going to take the future to win the whole thing at 8-1, I feel a little bit better this year than I did in previous years on the Bills going into the year.
They're due, right? You hate to say it as Jet fans, but they are due. They've been knocking on that door. Eventually, if you knock on it long enough, you'd think they'd be able to break through and at least get to the Super Bowl. That said, I think the Ravens are right there with them in the AFC. At some point, Kansas City is not going to get to the Super Bowl. Like the only team that's been able to beat them before the Super Bowl has been Cincinnati, right? At some point, someone is going to get the best of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to happen. Just like eventually there were teams along the way that knocked off the dynasty Patriots. You know, they didn't win every year, didn't get to the Super Bowl every year. So I'm with you, Jeff. To me, if you're going to bet on Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl, if you're going to bet on Buffalo to win the whole thing, I can't say you're wrong for feeling that way. I mean, their division, let's be real, is set up for them to probably go 5-1 at the bare minimum. And then after that, you know, they put themselves in the spot where maybe they get 2 home games on their way to the Super Bowl potentially. So there's a path for it for sure.
Yeah, again, looking at Buffalo's schedule, they opened the season on that big Sunday night game against Baltimore, and then, my goodness, that stretch going into the bye. I mean, there's a legitimate argument. I mean, look at that. I mean, the legitimate argument that the hardest game is at Atlanta week 6. I mean, they're going to be almost a touchdown on the road at New York, probably will be a touchdown on the road. And then you get Miami on a short week in Western New York. Perfect. Saints, Patriots. I mean, 3 straight. I mean, look at that the 3 straight home games against 3 teams that I think New England may not be terrible, but we'll get to Miami in a second and the Saints. Awful team. But look, Buffalo, there's no excuse. They could be 7-0 going into that Kansas City game in Western New York in week 9. They'll be favored in Carolina, of course, off the bye as well. All right, Jake, keeping it in the division, we go next to New England, which is the sexy pick for a lot of people this offseason going into the year. Drake May showed a lot. He had nothing around him. He looked impressive at times when the Patriots were able to keep him upright. They hire Mike Vrabel, who is considered the best coach available on the market. Jake, this has been a few years of mediocre, though, in New England, and I know they did a lot this offseason, but I don't think they did enough to justify their win total being 4.5 games more than what they did a year ago. Look, they can improve 4 games to go 8-9, and you're still not getting there. It's a big leap for a team that, if May takes the big leap, they could be a team that makes the playoffs by accident. But boy, that is asking a ton to improve 5 games from a year ago, Jake.
I agree with you. I would be all over the under on New England here, and I'm sure we'll talk about Miami as well. I think we have similar thoughts on that. Look, I'm not trying to be like a hater on New England because I think they hired a tremendous coach in Mike Vrabel. I just don't think their roster is nearly as good as what the perception of it is. It's like, oh, they had Mike Vrabel and they have Drake May, like the rest will figure out itself. They're relying a lot on Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs to be big-time playmakers for them this upcoming season. And I just don't see it. Not to mention, I know they drafted Will Campbell, but are we convinced he's just going to be a plug-and-play, great left tackle? There were a ton of questions about whether or not he's more of a guard anyway. I don't love the rest of their O-line. They have Mike Onwenu. They signed Morgan Moses away from the Jets. And, Morgan's still a solid player when he's healthy, but he's been banged up now the last couple of years. I don't love their O-line. I don't love their offense. And I know Drake May gave you some moments last year, Jeff, but he still threw only 15 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. Limited time playing, I get it. But I'm not as convinced New England's going to go from one of the worst teams in the league to a team that's going to go 9-8 and maybe be a playoff team this year. I just don't believe in their talent. I think they're about a year away, and then Vrabel will get it figured out. But I'd go under on this if I had to place a wager on their win total.
Let's get to Miami, Jake, and we'll have our full previews here on the channel coming through the month of July and August. But I'll just give you the quick preview on the Miami Dolphins. If there is a market for a first coach to be fired, Mike McDaniel would be the bet for me. Now, I don't think this schedule is overly intimidating, period. But the way that team has gone, you traded Jalen Ramsey, you felt like he couldn't wait to get out of Miami to go play anywhere else. People aren't wanting to leave Miami very often as a whole. Tyreek was trying to get out of there all offseason until it was clear that they couldn't move him. There's always an injury question with Tua. I have questions about that defense that regressed horribly a year ago after losing Vic Fangio up to the Eagles. Eagles only won the Super Bowl last year, Jake. This is not an intimidating schedule. If you're just going off a strength of schedule, yeah, you know what? Miami should be able to win 9-10 games. But this is a locker room that feels like it's about to be on fire, Jake. You can find 8.5s with better juice than here at the South Point at minus 150 on the 8.5 under. I think that's the best bet on the board, period, in the AFC on a win total, Jake.
I agree with you. I just am not sold on Tua staying healthy. We have seen this, right? I mean, on average in his career, Jeff, he only starts 13 and a half games per season. Their backup is Zach Wilson. Like, for the life of me, I don't understand how the Miami Dolphins could watch Zach Wilson in their own division for all these years and sign him to be their number two. You're going to tell me Quinn Ewers is going to be, their next line of defense if it doesn't work out for Zach? I just have very little faith in Tua remaining healthy. I think there's major question marks just about like the leadership of the Dolphins, right? All the turmoil last year. What's Tyreek Hill's future? Is he going to be unhappy and demand to be traded if he's not getting his share of targets? I don't think they benefited from the Jalen Ramsey trade because I think getting rid of Jonnu Smith was low-key a big deal. I'm not buying Darren Waller out of retirement as like this Jonnu Smith replacement here. So I just don't love the makeup of this team, and they never beat good football teams. I don't have the stat in front of me. Maybe you do. But the record against teams above 500 since Tua and McDaniel have been paired up together is dreadful. So while the schedule is not all that difficult, the concerns about Tua staying healthy and just the makeup of the roster, I'd probably go under on their win total as well.
3-14 is the record for Mike McDaniel against teams over 500. It's pretty funny. I put it in the stat music first, and it gave me Jaden McDaniels for some reason, Jake. I don't know why we were thinking hoops on that. But, yeah, he's not beating good teams. And look, that's the thing. Last year, and even in the past, Fitzpatrick backed him up at the beginning of his career. That's why the whole mess with Flores happened, in all honesty, was that Fitzpatrick played as well as he did. So, it feels like it's the end in Miami. It really does. 8.5. And they got horrible play last year from the guys who came in behind them. Huntley had one good game, realistically speaking, and that was that for the Finns a year ago. And our guy Mike White ended up not panning out down there either, which, oh well. He'll always have that Halloween afternoon at the Meadowlands, Jake, Mike White.
His jersey still in the Hall of Fame, Jeff, from that game?
That was a classic. Jake, I just one last NFL thing before we go to baseball. Ryan, you can flash those Super Bowl odds if you want. Jake, if I made you pick today, and look, you can change them whenever we have you back. I know we'll change them probably another 20 times over the next 2 months before the season gets going. At the current moment, what would be your Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl winner at the current moment here, Jake? Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, your betting favorite here at the South Point to repeat.
Man, this is tough because in the AFC, I'm pretty convinced I'm going to pick the Ravens this year. I just think it's their time. I like what they have done this offseason. I think getting Jair Alexander as late as they did is a big pickup for that defense. I think Lamar's due. I do. I think they should have won last year against Buffalo. You had obviously the critical Mark Andrews drop at the end of the game that changed things. So I'm leaning Ravens in the AFC. I really want to pick someone that's not Philadelphia in the NFC, but it's hard right now. I'm worried about a bit of a sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels, almost like what we saw with C.J. Stroud with the Texans this past year. Green Bay to me at 15-1. I feel like no one's talking about Green Bay. They had a lot of hype a year ago when they had a disappointing year. I think maybe there's some value there. So I'm between Green Bay, and as much as I love the Lions and want to pick them, I think they're going to struggle a little bit, losing both their coordinators and losing some key pieces this past offseason. So right now, and you're right, I'm definitely going to change it a bunch. I think I'm going to go with a Ravens versus Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. How about that?
How about that? I was not expecting that. I'll just tell you this, and I'm going to probably change it another 2-3 times on this. Like I said, I think it's Buffalo's year finally, which again hurts me to say it, but Buffalo and the Rams is what I have right now. That's what I have at the current moment. I'm probably going to change it another 3-4 times. One team on this board, just to throw it out there, and we'll have plenty of previews. Shop on the Bear number across the board, guys. If Ben Johnson is the real deal and Caleb Williams improves at the rate that Jared Goff improved under Ben Johnson, boy, that Bear roster is loaded in a division where I think all three other teams, and you mentioned Detroit, they're due to regress. Minnesota's due to regress after last year's magical year. And I think Green Bay's due to regress as well. The big question with Green Bay, can Jordan Love play a whole 17 games healthy? We didn't see that last year. We didn't see it the year before. Of course we didn't see it the year before, but you get what I'm saying, Jake. But look, you're in a scenario here where I kind of like the Bears, 30-1, but shop around, see if you can find a little bit of a better sign there. By the way, Ryan, that might be the kiss of death for you. Ryan McCormick, our producer, a Bear fan, Jake. So there you go on that. So, all right.
The NFC Jets.
Yeah, a little bit. So, Jake, I want to go to baseball. Of course, you're on the radio in New York. It was a hell of a June for the New York baseball teams, to put it one way, Jake. I want to start with the Yankees, though, because they finally snapped the losing streak on Sunday. That play by Bellinger in the seventh inning was as good of a play as you'll ever see an outfielder make to really fortify that game, because it looked like Leiter had nothing before that play. But Yankees start a big week at home. Right now, they're 3.5 games behind the Jays after they beat the White Sox last night. The Yankees get the Mariners and the Cubs going into the All-Star break, Jake. This is a very difficult 6-game stretch. Just what are your thoughts on where the Yankees are right now after that brutal month of June and the bad start to July here?
They're in trouble right now. Now, look, it's a long season, and obviously, if the season were to end today, while they wouldn't be in first place and win the division, they'd still be a playoff team. And I think what helps the Yankees, Jeff, is the American League is just not that great. So they're going to be in the mix, and they still got a lot of talent, and I guess they're going to get some good news here coming up. It looks like Luis Gil's going to start a rehab assignment later this week, and, as the reigning rookie of the year, get him back in the rotation. He's going to be vital because now you're down Clark Schmidt, who was having a nice season for them for the remainder of the season. But, the Yankees have put themselves in a spot where they had a 7-game lead in the division, and they gagged it away. And they've done this now in the last couple of years where they have these June swoons that carry over into July and some years even August, and it's flat out unacceptable. And you're right, this week is big because you're at home, you're playing two very good teams. Seattle's nipping on your heels in the wild card, if you want to look at that. And you look at the pitching matchups of the next couple of days. Seattle's pitching unbelievably well right now, and the Yankees are starting Warren. They're starting a top prospect tomorrow who has never pitched in the major leagues before. They have to call up to replace Clark Schmidt's spot in the rotation. And then Stroman, who was awful against the Mets the other day, he goes the final game of the series. So the pitching matchups favor Seattle, and the Cubs have been one of the bigger surprises in the National League. So it's not going to be easy. The Yankees got to get back to hitting. Other than really Aaron Judge, who's been consistent throughout the year, they're going to need more contributions up and down through the lineup. We'll see if Bellinger could stay hot. Jazz has been good of late. He's now, I don't know if you saw the news, going to be moved back to his natural position of second base, which about time. DJ LeMahieu cannot play that position anymore. He has no range. So maybe the Yankees could fortify their infield defense, which should help. But it's going to come down to hitting. It's no coincidence they were able to beat the Mets the other day, and you got contributions from Austin Wells. You got contributions from Bellinger. Judge was Judge, you know that. But they stopped hitting for parts of this swoon, and then they stopped pitching for parts of this June swoon. So we'll see now if maybe that win against the Mets can maybe get them going a little bit. But, they're in trouble right now. They gotta wake up because Toronto's not going anywhere. I think they're proven to be a real foe in that division.
Yeah, Jays finally won a game by more than a run yesterday, an 8-4 win over the White Sox. And, yeah, that's the other thing. The Jays scheduled these. You got 2 more against the White Sox. And then 3 against the Athletics in Sacramento before the All-Star break. That could be a 5-1 week on top of this absurd stretch. They could Yankees have a bad week. This could be 7 the other way by the end of the week if things go wrong. Jake, Mets-wise, it feels like to me that this past week, and look, we'll find out, the Mets have been the best team in Major League Baseball at home this year. They've been an under 500 team on the road. They get Baltimore and Kansas City to get into the All-Star break, so not overpowering teams, a last place team and a fourth place or third place team right now in Kansas City. But hey, Jake, it feels like the Mets found themselves in what was in a very important homestand after getting their butts whipped by the Pirates the previous weekend. They win 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. They win 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. It feels like the Mets may have turned the ship back around. And even after all this nonsense, they're only 1 game behind the Phillies in the NL East.
It seems like they maybe stabilized some things, and they just got to tread water from this point until they get some of their arms back. Because, I mean, for them to take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, when you looked at what the pitching matchups were going into that series, I think every Met fan, without question, would have certainly signed for that. And if it wasn't for that unbelievable play that you brought up by Cody Bellinger, maybe the Mets end up coming back and sweeping the Yankees. They were that close to doing it. But look, they got to really rely on the arms they do have in that rotation right now, right? Like Clay Holmes, I mean, you wonder, okay, is he going to be able to continue to pitch this well, given the fact that he's never thrown this many innings before as a first-time true, major league starter once again, but you got to rely on him. I thought that start the other night by David Peterson against the Brewers was huge, because if you can get the ball to Stanek and Edwin Diaz, there's a path to win a lot of those games, and Peterson's the one guy now that I think you got to call almost like the ace of the staff to this point. So, look, the schedule is favorable these next couple days here against the Orioles, even though they've been playing a little better since they fired their manager. I think for the Mets, the key is just try and stabilize things, get to the All-Star break, get some of your arms back, and we'll see what David Stearns can do at the trade deadline. They probably need a reliever or two, probably need another starter, but I think the Mets overall, I think they're in a good spot, because as bad as they played, you said it, look where they are in the division standings, look where they are in the wild card. They're still in a good spot to be a playoff team and maybe still win that National League East.
Only 1 game behind Philly. Phillies lost last night to the Giants. City of Philadelphia blaming Phil Cuzzy for that one, and quite frankly, I don't blame them on that. But, I'll just say this, Jake, and this is my last question for you before we let you go. I've always been in the camp here that the NL is significantly stronger than the AL this year. I think everything backs that up. But it also makes for an NL playoff picture where, by the way, the Dodgers have played their four worst games of the season, 4 consecutive. They got blasted last night. Yamamoto didn't even make it out of the first inning in Milwaukee, and they get MIZZarellowski here tonight coming off his first bad start. But Jake, if I made you pick today, do the same thing that we did in the NFL with about 100 games of data now in baseball, World Series matchup right now, and what way would you look here?
Man, this is a tough question, because baseball is still such a crapshoot. I mean, it's too easy just to say the Dodgers, right? Like, I'll just pencil the Dodgers in. But I feel like until they're not there, I'm still going to go with them. And then, I mean, I couldn't even tell you in the American League. I mean, what the Astros are doing without Alvarez, without, of course, Bregman, who left in free agency, they traded Tucker. To me, it's just insane. And as someone who did radio in Houston for 6 years and had to talk about the Astros as a Yankee fan, which was just brutal, it's tough for me to pick against the Astros right now. So to try and jinx it on your show, I'll say Dodgers-Astros is my World Series pick as of now.
There you go. Trash can rematch there. Of course, Astros did destroy the Dodgers over the weekend in LA.
17-1 in that first game, right? Crazy.
Yeah, they destroyed them the whole weekend. Again, it's interesting with the Dodgers, because they had May Dodgers were the game under 500 and then just bludgeoned everyone in June. And so far, these since 4th of July, just been brutal 4-game stretch. See, playing the White Sox, going back to playing real teams, it's been a little bit of a problem for the Dodgers over the last 4 days. He's Jake Asman, Jake Asman Show on YouTube, ESPN Radio as well in New York. I know I'll be on with you again soon, Jake. I know you'll be in town. We'll be able to have a live show together at that point. Jake Asman on X as well. It's a pleasure, my man. Thanks for hanging this morning.
Jeff, always a pleasure to hang out with you. Thanks for having me. Continued success, man. Love watching your show.
Absolutely. You as well, my friend. Jake Asman, everyone. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we get back into the baseball card we go on a Tuesday morning right here. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book here on a Tuesday morning, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, happy to be with you. Big thanks to our guy, Jay Gasman, not only for joining us, but for the super chat as well. And big thanks to JoJo as well for the super chat. Thank you, guys. Love your generosity here on a Tuesday morning. Big thanks to Jake. Always love talking to him. His show on YouTube, especially if you're a Jeff fan, a lot of fun. So there are a lot of interesting callers, to say the very least, on that show as well. So it's always worth your time as well. All right, let's get to it. Baseball card. Let's go with the Reds and the Marlins first in Cincinnati. It'll be Perez and Martinez here today at Great American Ballpark. Marlins continued their great play with another win yesterday, 5-1. They're plus 105 here today, Martinez. So Nick Martinez, 2 starts ago, carried a no-hitter into the 9th before that got busted up. His last time out, he pitched a little bit better than I expected against the Red Sox. Gave up 4 earned and 6 2/3 against the Red Sox in a win for the Reds. This is an unbettable game here, at least from the pricing perspective. So we're at 9 on the total now. Look, this is a great hitter's ballpark, and the wind is blowing out. I just don't love that this is a 9. I really would have hoped that this came 8.5, and I would have been on over 8.5. But at 9, nah, I can't go with it. Weather report, by the way, 86 with the wind blowing out slightly. So, yeah, I'm going to stay out completely on this game with Miami and Cincinnati. All right, we can go to the game that's behind me, Mr. 3000. Hey, Ryan, I don't know if you even managed to do this because, of course, Mr. 3000 played for the Brewers in that universe, right? Good old Bernie Mac. What was the character's name that Bernie Mac played in that? Oh, that Stan Ross. There you go. All right, see, the internet helped me out there. So back to AmFam here tonight. Jacob MIZZarellski's coming off his first bad start of the year. Really, is one bad inning that got capped by a Brandon Nimmo grand slam on Wednesday of last week. Dodgers are minus 120. Dodgers are in their worst 4-game stretch of the year. Yamamoto got drilled yesterday. They didn't even make it out of the first. Dodgers have been outscored in the last 4 games, 38-7. Oof. You don't see that very often from a team of this high quality. I think the wrong team is favored in this game, personally. I think MIZZarowski should be a favorite at home. I know Kershaw got named to the All-Star team. I know he's been playing better. That was also a weird way for Rob Manfred to basically announce that Clayton Kershaw is probably going to retire after the year, right, Ryan? Isn't that an interesting one? So I would only look to the Brewers at plus 105, but again, I would tread carefully. At some point, the Dodgers are going to get it right. So Could be today. MIZZarowski, of course, could also start regressing just slightly because, again, rookie, more tape. Teams are going to start hitting him more likely than not. All right, let's go to St. Louis next. Sonny Gray and Jake Irvin, and this is a giant number on the Cardinals here at home at Busch. You're a $2 favorite in this one against Irvin. Now, yes, it's a big pitching mismatch. You have the ace. You have Sonny Gray on the bump. Cardinals haven't played particularly great of late. Last week was a lost week for them. They went 1-5. They got shut out in all 3 games in Pittsburgh and then got bludgeoned by the Cub offense. Even in the win, they gave up 6 runs. But in the 2 losses, Cardinals got outscored 22-3 at Wrigley over the weekend. Cardinals, honestly, I mean, it took a split against the Cubs before that and then sweep against the Guardians. They're not playing their best ball. Again, of all these NL borderline playoff teams, I think St. Louis is the one that is most likely to fully regress. But this is a big pitching mismatch here. I mean, don't let the win-loss record fool you on Irvin. He hasn't pitched well this year. They just have supported him, the national offense. Yeah, this will only be a look. I would only look at the Cardinals' first 5 laying a half a run, but you're laying $1.30 on it. So we talked about this last week. I really don't want to go over $1.20 on the Cardinals or any team in the first 5 run line, but that would be the only look I have in this game. All right, let's go to San Diego next. Also, a quick reminder for everyone. The trivia question is now in the bottom. So make sure you get your answer in right now on what is a good Vince, these questions are good. This has been a good start to the month of July, my friend. By the way, this will also be it is the 11-year anniversary of one of the all-time great games in the history of the World Cup, especially if you don't like Brazilian soccer. Let's just go with that. That's your hint for today here on this one. All right, let's go next to San Diego. Padres and Diamondbacks. D-backs got a 6-3 win yesterday. They beat Darvish in his season debut. Corbin Carroll also came back for the D-backs, so that's good news for Arizona. So Padres right now, game behind the Giants, who picked up a win last night. It is Pivetta and Merrill Kelly. Your pitching matchup tonight, we've talked about. These are 2 guys that actually been bet-ons this year, and Pivetta's been bet 15 cents in this game from -15 to -30. Total's also been bet down a half run from 8 to 7.5, which makes this a no play here. I was going to give out Pivetta -115 on that opener, but that number is long gone. So I'm not wanting to lay $1.30 on Pivetta full game. You could consider Pivetta first 5 at that -20. I don't mind that if you want to take a look there. You also could go Pivetta minus a half a run plus 120 first 5 as well. I have no issue with taking Nick Pivetta in this spot. We again, has not been quite as good as the last few times out, but boy, he's been an awesome addition to the San Diego rotation this year. All right, let's go to San Francisco next. Giants. Yeah, there's Pivetta at 150 to 1. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's Wheeler or Skeens. It's a 2-horse race now. Wheeler not going today for Philly. Slightly different pitching for Philadelphia. It's Taijuan Walker for the Phillies. Robbie Ray, 60 to 1 on that board, does go for San Fran. Boy. So this total's been bet up a whole run, guys, from 7.5 to 8.5. Not really surprised with Walker going, who has been relatively brutal this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. This is, boy, first 5 minus a half on the Giants feels pretty good today. Monster pitching advantage. Giants against Walker. I would go with that. That would be the way I would go. Take Robbie Ray minus a half a run, first 5. That feels pretty darn good, actually. So that would be the way I would play this game. Now, look, Walker's numbers don't look as bad as some in Philadelphia would make him out to be, and he pitched mostly out of the bullpen this year. This is only his 9th start, and this will be appearance number 20. But again, this is, I would go Ray first 5. That would be the only way I would look at it. All right, let's go to Detroit next. Tigers, hope you listened yesterday, plus money on the Tigers. They win it yesterday, get there easily in a 5-1 victory. Now it's Jack Flaherty's turn here today against Ryan Pepio of the Rays. minus 125. I feel this is a good price again on Detroit. Guys, the Tigers are the best team in baseball record-wise. They're the best team in the American League power rating-wise for me as well. We talked about Flaherty last week. Home-road splits. Flaherty has been, I would want to say, an average pitcher at home. He's been beyond dreadful on the road. So this has been a big home-road split for Flaherty this year. 49 innings at home, ERA of 3.8. Opponent's batting average is sub 200, so he's been a little bit lucky at home. Has had problems keeping the ball in the ballpark, though. 10 homers in 49 innings. That's a lot, especially at a great pitcher's park like Comerica. And he's gotten bludgeoned on the road. Giving up an ERA north of 6 in 40 innings, but he's at home here today. So a lot of this bad has come at home, on the road, not at home, even though he has given up homers. Wind's blowing in 83 degrees. It'll only be a look at Detroit. Look for the best number. You can find minus 121, minus 120 out there in the market on Detroit. We go to New York next. Yankees, Mariners, Gilbert, Warren, minus 130 on Warren here today. Yankees getting bet from minus 120 to minus 130. Total of 9 here in this one on the Bombers. You know, it feels like a good price on Logan Gilbert, doesn't it? With a good pitching advantage here. Well, Warren's been fine for New York, but I would only look to the Mariners side of things here. You got a plus 115, as good as plus 120 in the market. It would only be a look to Gilbert. I'm getting also, too, if you can find a plus price first 5, which not really available, but you can get minus 105. So you're getting Gilbert as a dog. Yeah, I would only look to Gilbert. I would only look to Seattle here. It's just slightly better price, though, than plus 115, plus 118 at the market high. All right, we go to Chicago next. White Sox, Blue Jays, Savali and Bassett here today. Bassett's minus 190. White Sox plus 170. Jays have a 3.5 game lead on the Yankees now. Biggest lead that the Jays have had in the AL East since 2015. Been a while. Been a while since the Jays have been in this position. Now, this feels like a good run line spot on a favorite, right? I wish you were getting plus price. Minus 120 is not bad, though, on Bassett laying the 1.5. Get the extra guaranteed the 9 at bats. Playing the worst team in the American League, it would only be a look to Toronto run line here today with Bassett against Savali. Again, yesterday it was a little more tepid on the Jays. Berrios gives up homers. Better starter for the White Sox than Savali. So I'm going to look at the Jays here today, minus 1.5. All right. Houston. Guardians snapped the losing streak yesterday, and they finally scored 7 runs. And they get rewarded. They get Hunter Brown. Their reward is Hunter Brown. They're minus 185. This is the best price in the market on the Stros here today, here at the South Point. It would only, again, always a little tepid when you go with a team that, again, home team, 8 at bats instead of 9 when they win the game, you're going to have to cover a run line. But this feels like a reasonable run line spot with a big pitching advantage to Hunter Brown, laying the 1.5. With the Astros for the full game. First 5, again, I can't do it. You're laying a half a run minus 35. Just not, that's where it flips over for me. Just becomes too much juice at $1.35 in the first 5 on Houston. All right, one more here and then we'll take a quick break. Let's go to the city of Anaheim next. Angels walked it off legitimately against the Rangers last night, and now it's Soriano and Evaldi. Total of 8, Rangers minus 115. I'd only go with the first 5 under in this game. Only go under 4, minus 20, or even money, I should say, on the under 4. Evaldi, again, before his injury, was one of the best pitchers in the American League. Now, since coming off the IL, not quite the same guy in his 2 starts. He hasn't given length. That's been the issue. Now he threw 5 shutout, but that's not a lot of length last time out. But 5 shutout would be more good enough here in this spot. I would only go under First 5, even money with the Angels and the Rangers. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, the last 5 on the card, my favorite plays of the day, and we'll tell you one trivia when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Happy to be with you on a Tuesday morning. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Give you the trivia answer in a little bit. But first, 5 more baseball games to get to, and we begin in Baltimore. Rematch of the 1969 World Series. Mets and Orioles. Clay Holmes against Young here today on the Baltimore side. It's been an interestingly bet game. Minus 125 up to minus 135 on the Mets. Now back down to ladder to minus 120 on New York. Total of 10. Now, weather in Baltimore today, there is a possibility that this game gets delayed because of weather, but the wind is blowing out slightly. I'm a little bit surprised by this total being 10. Now, Baltimore's pitching has been mediocre, and the Mets, again, even though Holmes has been one of the more consistent pitchers, again, the Mets pitching on the road has gone backwards over the last month. I don't have the fortitude to go under 10 in this game because of how poorly Young has pitched in his limited major league opportunities this year. But I would only look, if we're looking side, I'd only look at the Mets at minus 120. But there is a concern that this game may get delayed a lot or it may not even get played tonight based off that weather report in Baltimore. All right, let's go to Boston. We got there on the over last night. We got there. That 10 went over. It was 9-3, so another good one there. Sox and Rockies, another game that could get delayed by weather. It's Brian Bayo against Kyle Freeland here tonight. Minus 280 for the Red Sox. Total of 9. Oh, man. Because the weather is not quite as good for hitting as it was a night ago, I'm going to just steer clear. And this is way too big of a price to lay on Bayo. Even though the run line's interesting, would have expected that run line to come in like $1.65. Minus 40 is not terrible. Not terrible, but boy, I'd just be very careful here. Even though, again, it is the Rockies. And again, laying a run line with a home team, a little bit sketchy, to say the very least. All right, we go to Minnesota next. Cubbies throw the race. Imanaga against Simeon Woods Richardson of the Minnesota Twins. Total 9 in Minneapolis tonight. Cubs a small favorite with Shota on the mound. So Minnesota weather, 81 degrees with the wind blowing out to right. Now, that's the only reason this is a 9 juiced over with Imanaga pitching is because of that weather. Really good hitting conditions up in Minneapolis tonight. I think I'd go Cubs first 5-run line and lay the half a run at even with the Cubs. That'd be the only way I'd look to play this tonight. I guess you could go a little dicey, also juicy, and go minus a run and a half plus 125 as well. But tread a little carefully again. Weather good for hitting. Even though, again, I think this is a big, nice advantage pitching-wise with Imanaga over Woods Richardson here today. All right, we go to Kansas City next. Royal offense woke up yesterday. Nice win for Kansas City against the Pirates last night. 9-run outburst for KC. Lugo and Keller, minus 35 on the Royals, plus 120 on Pittsburgh, total 7.5. This is a complete stay out. Now, Lugo, again, Lugo's been lucky this year. Those numbers look really good, but again, FIP is about a run higher. Keller has been unlucky on a win-loss record. He's pitched a lot better of late. It's a really ugly start. He's been much better his last 3 times out. But this is a stay off here. I'm not really interested in taking only $1.20 with Pittsburgh. Again, Pirates, after that great homestand where they swept the Mets and the Cardinals, have been awful to begin this road trip. Shut out in the first 3 games in Seattle and then only a 2 spot last night against Kansas City. All right, last one. We go to Sacramento. Almost said Anaheim. We're going to Sacramento, though. A's and Braves. Braves, I really thought it turned the quarter, but I've really fallen out of it again. It's going to be sell, baby, sell for the Atlanta Braves in 3 weeks when that deadline comes up. It's Fuentes and Springs here tonight. Minus 115 on Atlanta. Even on the A's. Total is a rocket fuel 10.5. Now, if you got that 10 on the overnight job, well done. 10.5 still good here tonight with 2 pitchers I do not trust. Fuentes is not a major league guy. Really, he's not pitched well. The wind's blown out. It's 83 degrees. This is ideal for MASH, a palooza tonight in Sacramento. So over 10.5, boy, I wish I gotten that 10, but over 10.5, even at, boy, look for that minus 15. You're probably going to see an 11 by the time this game kicks, or first pitch, I should say, with the A's and the Braves, but over with 2 bad pitchers here tonight in Sacramento. Sorry, not Oakland. No more Oakland. We know that. All right. Trivia question, and then I'll give you my favorites here before we get out of here. On this date in 2014, our boy Miroslav Klose scored his 16th FIFA World Cup goal, becoming the all-time leading scorer in FIFA World Cup history. He did it against Brazil. Of course, that was the infamous beatdown of Brazil's 7-1 game with Germany. And of course, Germany would beat Argentina a few days later to raise the World Cup. Which country is the only one that Klose has scored multiple goals, has scored against in multiple World Cups? And what were the years? So what years and what country did Klose score multiple World Cup goals against in multiple countries? And that, of course, was against Argentina. He did it in 2006. He did it in 10. He did not do it in the final in 14, amazingly enough. Of course, that was only 1 goal in extra time. But it was Argentina in 2006 and 2010. They met in 3 straight World Cups. How about that? Didn't even realize that. And JR on the board for the 3rd time this month, back-to-back for JR. Gets it done here on July the 8th. So congrats to JR for getting the Miroslav Klose question here today. All right, before we go, my favorite baseball plays of the day here. Padres. We're going to lay the first 5-run line with San Diego, with Pivetta. We're going to lay it at plus 120, laying a half a run. We're going to do it with Robbie Ray as well, laying a half a run, first 5, minus 110. And then the other one, we're going to take another favorite in the Detroit Tigers. Find the best number. It's minus 121. And we're also going to go over 10.5 tonight in Sacramento. So those are my 4 favorites of the day. If you want a dog, if you want a plus price, it would only be the Milwaukee Brewers tonight at plus 105 against the Dodgers to continue the losing streak. All right. That's what we got. We're back tomorrow. 10 a.m. Pacific time. Big thanks to my guy, Jake Asman, for joining us here today. Thank you all for watching as well here on a Tuesday. Alex back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Shout out to the crew as well. Vince, Ryan, Jerry, and Andrew Dog here on a Tuesday right here, Sports by the Book.